Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? This is going to be a great cast. We have my co-host David Smith, and we have our special guest David. David is going to introduce himself a little bit. David Smith.
So yes, I am honored to have David here. One, he's got a great first name. I might be partial because I'm David as well. Two, he's mastered a skill. Um, as a coach, we all love to evaluate our guests so that we know how to talk to them and which way. We know what we need to work with them on because the assessments tell us, where they're struggling, where their strengths are, and we want to use their strengths to help their weaknesses and increase their weaknesses so they have no weaknesses. And so we're going to do that today. We're going to take just a mini part of it. We're not actually going to go through the whole thing. And we're going to do it live here. So I am pleased to bring in David Creel. He actually designed this test. He did it off of somebody else, but he made it even better. So David, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David. David, also great name, and Mary, good to be here.
Like an oddball. I don't know.
Yes, if you have two Davids and you have a Mary, yeah, you're the oddball. But
Yeah.
technically, we're Old Testament. Technically, you're New Testament, so that's technically better.
Right.
I would rather be a Mary. Just saying. Um, but I'm glad to be a David.
Well, I, if you want that to happen, I don't think that's going to happen on this hour call, but time will tell.
I'll swing that way. So,
David,
getting
the coach.
into it, I have a question for you. I know you've been a coach for a while, and I know you didn't come up with the assessment right out the gate. None of us do. We all have to develop ourselves. So, tell us a little bit about that journey as you developed and started doing this assessment, and how the results was with the assessment.
Yeah, in a previous life, I was a lab tech testing petrochemicals for about a decade. And one day I was frankly bored and I started trying to see if I could print out some flyers and make some money doing pressure washing. And the first day I passed out flyers, I actually got somebody to hire me. I was so green in that I hadn't even thought about pricing. I just like, okay, I'll just figure it out. So then a couple months after that, my boss called me and said, your services are no longer needed effective immediately. And since October 1st of 2015, I've owned and operated the pressure washing business. I still own and operate the pressure washing business. And around December 2019, I was on a webinar with Tom Ziegler, who's Zig Ziglar's son, and he was talking about what we do as coaches, or what coaches do. And about 5 minutes into that webinar, I realized what I've been doing my whole life was coaching people. I just didn't know what it was called. So I got into, when I was in the lab, I worked straight nights. So I started reading personal self-development books back in 2008. And I came across this guy with this funny accent named Zig Ziglar. And he had this assessment, like we're going to talk about later. He called it the Wheel of Life. Basically the seven key areas that everyone has to deal with: mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. And I've seen people in a matter of weeks and months go from no self-confidence to self-confidence, out of shape to in shape. One of my clients, she severely broke her leg. I don't know the story behind that, but she severely broke her leg, and she said she wanted to walk 20 minutes unassisted without the walker and the cane. So I got her started with what she had, with what she could do, and she could walk 20 seconds one way. She could walk 20 seconds total without the cane. So we had her, after we did the Wheel of Life to see where she's at, I had her walk 10 seconds take the cane, lift it one time over her head, walk 10 seconds back. She was done for the day. The next day she walked 12 seconds. The next day she walked, or 22 seconds. The next day she walked 24 seconds. Last I talked to her about it, she can walk 30 minutes unassisted, and she only takes the cane to fend off stray dogs that come in her path. So anything on that wheel, I've got a story. Given enough time, I've got stories for all the spokes of the wheel.
Nice.
That definitely comes with time. The longer you're doing something, the more stories you're going to have. We turn tests into testimonies.
Yes, and without the test, there is no testimony.
Exactly. Yep. That's why people say grass is greener on the other side, but until you've been to the other side, you don't know how to handle the other side.
Right.
Well, yes, I would agree with that, and I would add, grass is greener on the side that you water.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if grass is on the other side that's greener. If you don't water that grass, the grass where you're sitting is going to be greener if they're watering it and you're not watering it. So
Right. It's all in the care.
yes, but only always.
Yep. So if anybody has any questions, just pop them in the chat and we will get to it right away. In designing this this thing, I know you met Zig Ziglar's son, which I love Zig Ziglar. I also, I love some of his books back in the day when he wrote them. On my bookshelf, I have a couple of them. So meeting his son, that must have been a great honor.
Yeah. Well, whenever you get, I'm a Zig Ziglar master coach. I signed up to be with them. Once you become part of Ziglar, they call you family. So I've gone through Ziglar Legacy certification. A couple years ago, I actually co-wrote a book called Road Trip with Tom Ziglar.
Nice.
And it's a short little book, but the questions inside could literally, after you implement, could literally change your life. But yeah, he's one of the best human beings I know on this earth.
It's really good. Now that book, can we get it from like Amazon, or where do we get that book from?
If you want the physical copy, I've got them in my house because Amazon charges 50% fees for shipping them there. So if you want the physical book, you just have to get a hold of me, Venmo me or Zelle me a crisp $20 bill, and I'll put one in the mail and I'll mail it to you, and I'll even sign it. If you want me to gift you the digital copy or the audio book, just reach out to me and ask me for the book and I'll give it to you. It's no problem.
Okay. That is remarkable.
Yeah.
And that is true heart of gold. It's not necessarily about the money. It's about getting you powerful information. So that's awesome. Obviously, there's cost in physical books, so there's got to be a cost, But that is remarkable. Now we're going to be going through the test a little bit, but in some of the questions, I know you didn't take his test directly. You've modified it a little bit. How did you know what areas to change and what areas to leave?
Well, when Zig originally came up with the Wheel of Life, I don't know exactly when it did, but it was either in the mid 70s or the mid 80s. Well, now we're in 2025. It's the world's completely different than it was in 1980. Some of the stuff that he mentioned, like Automobile University, putting a tape deck in your car. Well, nobody's got tape decks in their car. Hardly you can find CD players in cars now because it's all Apple Play or CarPlay or whatever. So I just had to kind of update it for quote 2025. But all the concepts are the exact same. The 7 spokes of the wheel are the identical: mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. And of those, they're all important, but all of those spokes the mental and the spiritual and the physical are the most important because we're mental, physical, and spiritual beings. And then all the rest of them kind of go in the wheel too, but mental and spiritual and physical are the most important.
Absolutely.
I love that. Also based with like the question Mary posted, what is your struggle? The assessment is going to help pull some of those things out, but we can never know the direct questions. This is just going to help us in certain areas, the 7 areas or the 7 spokes of the tire, which is really remarkable. And I know one of the things that we look for in the test is because we're looking at the wheel, some spokes are going to be like this, some like this. They're all different. I don't care if you're a 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter. You want it to be round. So if every area is a 2, then that's good. Or every area is a 10, then that's good. But when we have it like this, you can't roll. It's going to flop. So that's where we need to kind of like build those areas.
Yeah, and the point of the wheel of life is it's the best tool that I'm aware of that lets you know where you currently are. Because we get so fixated on where we want to go, but we don't know where we're starting from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I live in the Houston area. Okay. If y'all live, say, in, I think you said Tennessee, I think, or somewhere by Tennessee, I think is what y'all said, maybe not. But let's say you live in Tennessee and I live in Houston. Well, for me to get to you, I need to go northeast a little bit. But if I don't know I'm starting in Houston, I'm actually in New York City, I could get to Tennessee going northeast, but it'd be a whole lot easier if I went southwest.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to go all the way around the globe to get back to Tennessee. So the wheel of life, if you're honest with yourself, it's the best tool that I'm aware of that lets you see this is where I'm at currently in these 7 areas. Because picture like a wheel with 7 spokes and you plot on the wheels. Well, then you draw the lines. And like you said, David, yeah, if they're all 2s, that's still smooth, but you're not going anywhere. It takes a lot more effort if your wheels are 2s and 3s versus it's 8s and 9s because you have a smaller wheel. And everything else being equal, a bigger wheel can go faster than a smaller wheel because it's just surface area. But like you said, let's say you've got, a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 5 and a 9, and then you have a 2. Well, it's going to be a little bit bumpy because you got a flat spot going on, but that's the point of the wheel. The point of the wheel is to get you to recognize where you are. And then you can choose which direction you want to go. But if you don't know where you're starting from, it's very difficult, borderline impossible.
That is fascinating. I have heard of the Wheel of Life, but I hadn't really looked that far into it. I will now, for sure.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and when I was in ICF training, we actually did the Wheel of Life there, but we did not use Zig Ziglar's. We use a different one. And there's a few different ones out there, but Zig Ziglar, I think, is a more in-depth one because it has 7 spokes. A lot of the Wheel of Lives only have 6. So I do like, especially because you mentioned the 7 that are in there, and I love that it covers all categories. Most Wheel of Lives minus out the spiritual. And I don't care if you're a Christian or not, we're all spiritual. The Navajo Indians, I learned how to center myself through them. They're very spiritual people. They don't believe in Jesus. But depending on where you are and your source is the kind of thing. There was this one awesome unknown author. He came into a place and there's tons of gods. And there was a statue for every single god. And there was one podium that was missing a statue. And he got up to the king and was like, well, who do you worship? Who is your God? And he's like, we have all the gods here. And he looks at the empty statue one and he says, I worship the unknown God. And it's powerful because we all say, whatever, right? I would like to worship the one that actually has results, you know? And a lot of people are searching for that journey. So it doesn't matter what you believe, we're all spiritual,
Well said.
you know? So that's why I think Zig Ziglar one is definitely a um, more put together, if we will. I have not physically took that one. I'm just going by what I heard you say.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, but yeah, so we've got quite a few people in the room right now. Looks like we have 6 people. Um, if there's any questions, please feel free to post it in the chat. Other than that, um, we've talked a little bit about it, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to be quizzed. How about you,
I
Mary?
think you should do the dang thing.
We're going to just do a few
Awesome.
questions in each spoke just to kind of give a little bit idea. We're not going to go through the whole thing here, but David's going to lead us, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. And if you have questions, please post them in the room.
Take it away,
Yeah.
David Creel. I have
Awesome.
to be specific about who I call.
Yeah. Yeah. No problem. Okay. So David live with me and Mary and everyone else who's on the call, either mentally grab something to write on and a pen. It doesn't have to be official. No one's going to see it unless you show it to everybody. But draw a wheel that's got 7 spokes. The first one we're going to label mental. The next one is spiritual. The next one is physical. So we have mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. So mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. Okay. Now, this is not a place of judgment. This is simply awareness, because you can't move from what you can't see. It's impossible. Okay. So first gut instinct, there's not right or wrong answers. There's simply answers. Okay. Rate yourself 1 to 10 in each area. Number 1 means you're struggling, and number 10, a 10 means you're thriving. Okay. So let's start. Okay. On the mental spoke of your life, a question to consider: how often are your thoughts working for you, not against you? And rate yourself 1 to 10. Again, this is not a place of judgment. This is just awareness. Okay. I'll go with Mary or David, my stars of the show here. Are y'all good on that one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Spiritual. Rate yourself 1 to 10. 1 means struggling, 10 means thriving. How connected do you feel to purpose or meaning? Okay. Physical. Next. How are you treating your body as the vehicle for your vision? And as Jim Rohn said, your body is the only place you have to live here. Okay. Okay, moving on. The 4th spoke, family. How present are you with those who matter most? And again, while we're going this assessment, this really only is effective if you are ruthless and brutally honest with yourself. Because if you're just going to say, "Oh, I'm really this, but I'm actually this," well, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting everybody else's time too, because it's not going to do you any good. Okay. Financial, fifth spoke. How equipped do you feel to support yourself and the changes you want to make? Okay, moving right along. Personal. How often do you do things purely because they bring you joy? Last but not least, career. How fulfilled do you feel by the work you do?
No, I'm just going to say this. I love those questions because when I plopped in, um, I originally went through and wrote numbers down just by the category. And I had to cross some numbers out and change it as I went through. For instance, physical, I put a 2 because I have some physical disabilities that I deal with. So my body's not to where it's supposed to be. However, based on the question you asked, I'm actually a lot higher than the physical limitations. So I
Perfect.
crossed that out and put a new number.
Perfect. Perfect.
So
So
what I originally did was like, nope, I like that question better.
yeah, well, that's also the benefit of the kind of the fuller assessment, because like for your physical, the physical area of your life, it breaks that spoke down into 10 sub questions. So you might have, an 8.2 and a 6.7 and a 9 and a whatever. Okay. And then you take that number and you divide it by 10, and whatever that number is, that's your actual real number. Because if you're say a 6.3, well, you're not a 6, you're a 6.3. And if you're a 6.6, you're not a 7, you're a 6.6.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you continue to take the assessment every, say, 3 to 6 months, you can say, okay, the last time I took this 3 months ago or 6 months ago, I was this. And now let's see if everything you do is a 5.5 and you take it again in 3 or 6 months and you're now a 5.9, well, that's called progress.
Mm-hmm.
And your wheels getting bigger, so which David, I don't know if you've been reading my mind, but I was about to ask you which spokes surprised you the most, and you just answered that question because you said you gave yourself this. You gave yourself, okay, I'm a 2, but after the question, you're like, oh no, I'm higher than that. Then another prompt to think about is which spoke feels strongest and weakest. Like
It's
David,
funny
like
you
you talked
say
about
that.
earlier, like which one's that wobble?
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you say that because, like in finances, right? I rated myself higher because being the type of coach I am, finances is a strong area for me. However, when you broke the question down, I actually had to split the number. So, how am I currently with my finances? 8. What about my future? Well, my future, I've got a lot of visions and plans, and it's going to take a lot to get there. So, my future still needs work. My current is a lot higher. So then it was like, here's the number I picked. And then it was like, okay, well, this here, and then my number should actually be a little bit lower, because
Yeah.
I have big plans. I need to do a lot for those big plans.
Yes. And a slight tweak there versus whenever you said I need to do a lot, it might help if you say you get to do a lot,
Yes. Yep.
or you choose to do a lot, or you want to do a lot, because you don't need or have to literally do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, that's the assessment, and you could do this, again, the full assessment breaks down each category into 10 categories. And like on the assessment, let's say it says, what is your spouse relationship? And you're not married. Well, you just cross that one off. You're not married. So then you divide by 9 instead of divide by 10, because it doesn't apply to you. You're not married. So you can't have a spouse relationship if you're not married. So then you would take, you gave yourself a 5 and a 6 and a 5 and a 7 and a 4 and a 2 and an 8 and you'd add all those numbers up. This one doesn't apply to me, and you just divide by 9 instead of by 10, and then you get there's your number.
I love
So
this.
if you, whenever you have your spokes and with the dots, go ahead and connect all those dots to make it look like a wheel, and then you'll see, how smooth your ride is. Do you have a flat spot or a 4? Or do you have, you're like, okay, I'm better than I thought I was. It could be both sides. You could be worse than you thought you were, and you could be better than you thought you were. So, again, this is only about awareness. Awareness isn't judgment. It's just clarity. And you can only change when you're aware of it and you see it.
Right. Well, clarity is key. Awareness is key.
Yeah. Well, yes, because then clarity and awareness leads to action.
Right.
Because if you have all the clarity in the whole world, but you don't act, it's not worth anything.
I love how you said there's no judgment, because if you look at my wheel, this spoke is very huge. I'm not that creative. I'm a logistical person.
David, I can barely draw a stick figure, so this is no judgment here.
Yeah, me too. I'm a logistical person. I'm a very high class nerd. So logistical, I'm very good. Creative, I call somebody else.
I bet you're more creative than you give yourself credit for. Just off the top of my head, I bet you're more creative than you think you are.
So, Mary, you have to have creativity to be able to come up with the dreams that you want to achieve, David. There has to be some creativity.
Yeah, you just said my actual numbers here, but my big vision numbers here. So there's got to be something out there you're going out. So and this is a perfect segue to a story that just popped in my head. Obviously, y'all know about Walt Disney World, right? Like in Florida. Okay. Well, Florida, California, all over, but specifically one in Florida. Okay. The story goes that Walt Disney, whenever he was going to make Disney World, whenever he was going to make it, the 50s or whenever it was, he ended up dying before it actually opened from, I don't know what happened. Okay. He died. Okay. And they asked Mrs. Walt Disney, his now widow, they said, aren't you sad that Walt wasn't here to see the final product of Walt Disney World? And she said, what are you talking about? Of course he saw it, or we wouldn't be sitting here. Because I heard a wise man say one time, without a vision, the people perish. So you're probably a lot more creative than you're giving yourself credit for.
Now you do have the high class nerd, I gotta say. Work with you long enough, you do have the high class nerd, but there is the creativity too.
But you can be a high class nerd and have a big vision.
Yes.
If you talk to Tom Ziegler, you won't talk to Tom Ziegler for 15 minutes and he'll say, I'm the biggest nerd in the whole building. And you talking about a vision? I mean, he wants to change the whole world. So, yeah. So, David, you might give yourself some grace and some credit.
Well, you know what they always say. We are our own worst judge. Now, speaking of that, I just went through a program called Positive Intelligence. And as I realize that judge coming up, I'm like, Big Cheese, step aside. Because every single night I always look back. Did I do that proper? Could I have handled that better? What would have happened if I did it like this instead? And we always judge ourselves worse than we judge other people.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, and a lot of times I may criticize myself whether it's true or not. And I'm real good at doing this. Um, David, I don't like how you rock the chair. So
Awesome.
instead of calling you out and saying, David, you are so annoying the way you rock the chair, I will come up along the side and say, you know, when I rock the chair a certain way, it just squeaks so loudly. Now, I don't actually rock a chair because it's irritating to me, but I use myself because it softens the blow. Now, I'm just completely making that up. I actually have no qualms against rocking a chair. I would rock myself. You know, I just use that as
And,
an example.
well, I
I
was
would,
going to say, if that was real and you came and sat in this chair, you would change your mind about a rocking chair.
yeah, that is the absolute best chair, David. When we had our call before, I'm like, I love that chair.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
gonna probably never get out of the chair.
Well, it
it's
kind of
solid
reminds me
cedar.
Oof.
down in the South. So I'm just going to say it like this: I can mess with you because Tennessee is "Don't tread on us," and Texas is "Don't mess with Texas." A lot of people in Texas are in Tennessee, and a lot of Tennessee's down in Texas. They go back and forth. We both carry guns. So we are like brothers and sisters, or brothers and brothers, or sisters and sisters, depending on which you are. But down south, they have a thing called Cracker Barrel,
Yeah.
and they literally make those chairs,
Mhm.
and they are so awesome. You can get some that's gloss, you can get some that's not. You can get them in a few different ways, but they usually have somebody that makes them, and they have them all outside. And try them out. If you like one, you purchase it. And I don't know if you did or not, but when I seen the chair, I originally thought, oh, that's one of those chairs.
Um, yes, Cracker Barrel does have those, and this ain't those.
Okay.
The Cracker Barrel one's kind of the slats on the back, and your legs go this way, and this whole chair, the whole chair goes left to right, so it sits more like a lazy boy than an actual rocking chair. And yeah, I got mine in a little town called Madisonville, Texas, which is about halfway to between Houston and Dallas, at a little saddle shop.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, I
I'd
was
probably never.
down in Texas. What was that, Mary?
I said I think I'd probably never get out of that chair.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, you might not be able to. I don't know how tall you are, but it's a very big. It's a big chair. So like when my wife sits in it, like her feet like dangle like this, and she can't actually touch the floor. So you might not actually be able to get out of it, depending on how tall you are.
I'm
Wouldn't
I'm
have a
five.
problem.
I'm 5'7", and then somebody measured me the other day. I'm 5'6". I'm like, I don't like
Uh,
that.
you could get out of it then. She's five. She's like 5'3.5", 5'4". So you'd be able to get out of it, but it might take a little bit of effort.
He
Not
used to be
surprised.
6'4". Now I'm 6'2".
Well,
So I wouldn't have an issue.
I used to be 5 foot. Now I'm 6 foot. So what are you gonna do?
I used to. I was down in Cunningham, Texas, and Paris, Texas. Matter of fact, I went to the Eiffel Tower. And the Eiffel Tower is a little bit smaller than in Paris, France. But on the very top, they have a cowboy hat. I was actually underneath the Eiffel Tower and took a picture upwards and seen the underside of the cowboy hat and the outside when I took it from out in front of it. I
Oh,
love that Eiffel Tower. That was awesome.
and way cheaper than going to Paris too, and the people are nicer.
Yeah, and it's not such a dirty city.
There you go. A win all around.
Hmm.
It's the experience. You're missing the experience. Not that I've ever been, but you're missing the experience.
Yes, but who can say they've been to Paris, Texas? Well, besides David
He's
and
the only.
the few thousands that probably live there.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because they have a Paris, Tennessee. They don't have an Eiffel Tower. There's Parises in a few different states. Not the same.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's slightly different.
but I was down in Cunningham, Texas, actually helping build a department of a type of a business, and they had the business here, and in the same parking lot, they had the house where the head person stayed. And so I was helping them build a department that they didn't have in that place. They actually took me because Cunningham's not too far from Paris, and Cunningham is such a small city. It's the country of one of the countries of Texas. So you always have to go to like Paris or something else that actually has the things.
Huh. How about that?
So, but yeah, I love Texas. I've been there a few times, and we're actually going to have a part of Absolute Awaken is going to be down there.
Awesome. Awesome.
So we were going to have three. We're going to have four branches. So, and four is the number of preparation.
Yes. And seven's the number of completion.
And three is completion.
So yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
We're on the same. We're on the same wheel.
Yep. And wavelength.
Yep. I was going to say something else, but since we're talking the wheel of life, I was like, I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
You go with the theme.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, when you are working, because I can definitely tell you're a phenomenal coach, and you get a client, you're working with them. How long into coaching them, working with them, do you bring the wheel of life into the picture?
Before any money has changed hands.
Okay, so it's part of the consultation part.
Yeah, it's generally I have about a 30-minute connection call with folks, and then if they want to talk again and I want to talk again, then we go through kind of the full wheel assessment live, and then after that I send them the one that I put in the chat there, and then after that we have a talk where we talk about say it's 2 islands. This island is the wheel of life because that's where you are, and then we talk about your quote 1-year island, so like your vision that you want your life to look like a year from now, and then if it's a fit, then we discuss the investment. So they get the wheel of life very early in the process.
No, you mentioned that you take the assessment again, 3, 6 months, whatever. How often? So let's say I'm your client and I'm with you for 2 years. How often do I retake the test?
Every 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6. And is that
Because
live each time, or do you just give them the PDF to take?
no, what I give them I say redo the PDF because I've already got their numbers from 3 months ago or 6 months ago are already documented. So then we could spend a little bit of time comparing, okay, here's where you were, now's here where you are. Now, what do you want to go on top of that? Because you could do it every month, but really a month is not really enough to really make the needle move very significantly. I mean, you could go from a 5 to a 5.1, which is still progress, but I would say 3 to 6 months. That's a good barometer. And because the deal is we're not trying to take a 2 and make it a 9 in 3 months. But if you can go from a 2 to a 4.5, that's massive progress. You won't even recognize yourself in 3 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's not. Again, you could do it every month, but it would be borderline overkill because it's not much a lot of a sample size to really move the needle. So that's why I say every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, because like you said, you're not going to see any progress. It's like, I go on a diet and I lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, great. And then I get on the scale again in another 2 weeks and I don't lose anything. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But when you do that, when you make those changes in 6 months, you're like, look, I'm down 5 pounds. That's awesome. That's progress. And so I can see where, you say if you take it too often, it's kind of the same thing. If you get on the scale too often, you're not going to see any change. You've got to hit some time.
Well, like most things, if you're going to start, say you're going to start doing some push-ups, you're not going to do one push-up and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
That's not the way it works. But let's use like weight, for example, because that's part of the physical spoke, obviously. What we tend to do is we say we get on we're eating healthy and we're drinking a lot of water and whatever. Okay. And let's say we lose 10 pounds, but then you put on 4 more pounds. You say, I lost 10, but then I put back on 4. No, that means you lost 6.
Right. It's math.
It's simple math, but we tend to overestimate what we can do in a month and underestimate what we can do in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year. And it's just it's just a barometer to see. But again, it only works if you're brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not what you wish it to be or hope it to be or would like it to be. This is the way it is.
This is me today as I'm taking this assessment.
Yes. Because think about it. Let's say you give yourself on the family, say you give yourself a 9, and then a week from now your dad dies and you retake the test. Well, you're not going to be at a 9,
right?
Because your dad just died. So all you can do is, here's where I'm at right now. But then the question to ask yourself is, let's say you have after the full assessment, you're a 5.2 in whatever area. The question is not, how do I go to a 6? The question is, what's the smallest possible step I can take to make this 5.2 a 5.3? Because it might be one little thing, and it's like, oh, I start doing this. Like, for example, on the financial spoke, one of the questions is, do you have a will in place? Okay, well, if you don't have a will, that's a 0. You don't have a will in place.
Right, it's a yes or no.
But if you get a will, well, now it goes from a 0 to a 10. And you could get a will in an hour online. It's not going to be the greatest will you've ever seen in your whole life, but it is a legally binding document. Well, that immediately gets you a whole point up in an hour. So, but if you say, oh yeah, I've got a will, and you give yourself a 10 and you don't have a will, well, you're kidding yourself.
Right.
I mean, if that's the case, just write down 10s on everything and call it a day.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing that I think is a great point is when you are doing something, Mary, you said a diet, so I'm going to go with that. And I've been noticing David for a while. We hang out every single day, and I don't really notice a change in him. But every time he steps on a scale, the first time he was on a scale, the next time he got on a scale a week later, he was 7 pounds less. I didn't see it. The next week, he was 6 pounds less. I didn't see it. The next week, he was 10 pounds less. He's almost lost 25 pounds, almost 30 pounds, right? I didn't see any weight gone. Because I see him every single day, I don't see the change. But when you look at the scale, that's evident. So sometimes us living in the situation, us doing it, we don't really see the change. We know we're working on it. We know we're trying, but we don't see it until oh my gosh. I've had that happen to a lot of clients, working with them and stuff. And, well, I don't really see a result. Well, I do. You've paid off. You came to me with this much debt. You're now down here. You knocked out $120,000 in 6 months. Has it been that much?
Yep.
A lot of people don't see it because they're in the motion. They don't see it. That's why you always got to get a starting. And then a little bit later on, let's see what we've done.
You reassess. You gotta reassess.
Well, yeah, and that's the point. That's the importance of tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're doing it or somebody's tracking it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the reason that a lot of people don't see it is because it's hard to read a label from inside the jar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But if you're looking at the jar and you're not in the jar, then you can see things more clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the analogy you gave, if I'm looking at the jar here, it's still hard for me to see because I'm real close to the jar. I have to go like this and like this to see. But if the jar is here, then I can see the whole perspective a little bit easier.
Yeah. Given enough time and space, it does make things somewhat easier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
David, what do you find that a lot of your David Creel? What what do you find that most of your clients struggle with the most?
Lack of self-confidence.
Mm.
And recently I've discovered that a lot of it is they think they need confidence when in reality they need courage.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Let's take the first one first. The key to building self-confidence is nothing more than keeping the promises you make to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, yeah, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to do this. Okay. The very harmful words are, no one will know but me. Because every time you make a promise to yourself, like let's not use weight. Let's use the alarm clock.
Hmm.
You are 100% in control of when you set the alarm to go off. It's 100% in your control. If you hear the alarm is not in your control, because you might die in your sleep. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
But if you say, I'm going to get up at 6:30 tomorrow morning, every time you hit that snooze button, that's reinforcing that you don't keep your promises to yourself.
Mm.
Because you said, I'm getting up. If I wake up, my plan is to get up at 6:30. Snooze button. I don't keep the promise to myself. 6:37. I don't keep the promise I make to myself. 6:42. I don't keep the promise I make to myself. 6:57. I don't keep the promise I make to myself. Versus if you just put the alarm clock on the other side of the room and forced yourself to get up, now you're making a choice. Am I going to keep the promise I made to myself, or am I going to go back to sleep? What do you want to do? Okay. And then a lot of people think they need confidence, but confidence only comes after you act. Let's say in David's example, he was driving through Paris, Texas. Okay. The only way you have confidence you can drive through Paris, Texas is when Paris, Texas is in your rearview mirror. What you need is courage to go out to the car, start the car, follow traffic laws, whatever. But confidence comes in the rearview mirror and courage is your windshield.
Mm. Love that. I'm writing that down.
So those are the two things: lack of self-confidence and thinking they need confidence and they actually need courage. Courage to take the smallest possible step where they are with what they have. And then, like, let's say you're playing baseball or golf or some kind of sport. Yeah, the first time you pick up a golf club, you're not going to have any confidence at all because you've never held a golf club before. But every time you practice, you gain more confidence in your ability. But if you didn't have the courage to initially figure out how to hold the golf club, how to play, then the confidence is never going to happen.
Do you have exercises you take your clients through to make them realize the courage versus the confidence?
I have one. Both y'all can do this. Y'all want to do it? You
Let's
can't
do
do
it.
it here. You can't do it right here. It's impossible. But I can tell you about it, and you can just report back to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Literally, it's impossible. Okay. So before I go into the challenge, let me state you 100% can do this, no questions asked. It's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. No one or no animal will be harmed in the process.
Oh, thank goodness.
And it will take you, depending on where you live, 30 minutes tops, unless you live out in the boondocks and it takes you an hour to get to a city. Okay, so if you live in a regular city, it'll take you 30 minutes tops and your whole life will change.
Okay.
No questions asked. Do I have your word you'll do it before I tell you what it is?
I can say yes if it does not include driving it in the dark. I don't do that.
It does. It can be whenever you want to do it.
Oh, perfect. I'll do it. I'm in.
It during daylight is more than sufficient. Actually, for this challenge, straight at midnight, it would be almost impossible to do. Actually,
I can't wait to hear this.
okay, so you're in.
I'm in.
Regardless of what I'm about to tell you, you're in.
Yep, I'm in.
David?
I love a good challenge.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So here's the challenge. Go to a grocery store, not Walmart, a grocery store, Kroger, HEB, whatever y'all have for grocery stores, okay? Walk up to someone who's working but not physically working. Like don't find the person who's pulling 7 pallets and ask them a question.
Right.
Okay, find a cashier or whatever, okay? Ask them if you can get on the loudspeaker and say something. Okay, then ask the same worker if you can get the backstage tour of the place. Okay, so find a worker, ask if you can get on the loudspeaker and say something, and then ask for the backstage tour. Okay, then leave them and go find a normal, regular adult. Like, don't go ask a 2-year-old. Okay, and ask them for $100 bill. That's the challenge. Okay, now, seeing how both of you gave me your word that you would do it, and you can do it, there's no question about this. Here's how you win the challenge. By asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't matter what the answer is. You have to ask.
Only if you want to win.
Right.
Now, if you want, the only way you can lose the challenge is by not asking. Mm-hmm. You chicken out, you don't get your courage muscle built up. Whatever the case may be, if you don't ask, you lose. If you ask, you win.
You know, the funny thing is, out of those 3 things that you ask, one of them I've done. I'm one of those crazy people that go into the store and ask people dumb things to try to perk their interest. I've asked to talk on the loudspeaker. I've done that several times. I've never asked to go to get a backstage tour. That's going to be a new one. I look forward to seeing responses for that.
Have you ever walked up to a complete stranger and asked them for $100 bill?
No, but I've tried to give a $100 bill. Which funny thing is, it's hard to give people $100.
I would say it depends on who you ask. If you ask me, I'm taking it before you get it back in your pocket.
Right.
Like, no questions asked. Oh, $100, no problem.
I've done this several times. I have a stack of hundreds. I go in there and I'll take 100 to one person. Here you go. And I'll just try to pass it out to everybody I see. I can't tell you how many people say no, thank you. No, I don't want that. Get away from me.
Well,
I find it
if you
amusing.
if you ever see me in the street and offer it, I will take it before you withdraw your hand. And I'll say, you got any more where that's coming from? I'll ask you for some more too. I was like, oh, you got a gangster's roll? I'll take that. If you're giving away, I'll take it. If you're just burning a hole in your pocket and you just want to give it away, I'll take it. Give it to me and I'll take it. But that right there, that like you've already done that before. So you've already kind of, in that exact example, you've already built up a little courage, but you haven't built up all the courage because you haven't asked all three questions. So that's one area where if anybody is lacking confidence, that's my go-to. I've given that challenge. I stole that challenge from somebody else because somebody used it on me. And I've given that challenge to 50 people easily.
Here's my question. Did you win the challenge?
I won. Of course I did.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in it to win it, Mary. We're not here. This isn't monkey business. Of course I won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. Next time I go to the grocery store, which is probably going to be Saturday, I can tell you I'm going to win it.
Awesome.
Because that's the type of person I am. Mary knows. I slap watermelons, knowing that that's not the proper way to do it, to draw people's attention, to let them tell me how to do it properly.
Awesome.
You know? I yell at tomatoes. I yell at the gas pumps because they charge too much. Not that I'm actually debating. Not that I think anything's gonna come from it. I do it to draw people to me.
Fair enough.
So I'm one of those out of the ordinary people anyhow. So Saturday, I'll be able to ask all those three questions, two of them to one person and one to another person, just to see their response.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't matter what the response is.
Exactly.
Your job's to ask.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, David, we are into the last couple minutes. Would you like to talk about anything for your business?
Yeah. The easiest way to get a hold of me or find what I'm up to in the world is davidcreel.com, DAVIDCREEL.com. If you can't figure out how to get a hold of me off that website, I don't know what to help you with.
The website is in the description.
There's big buttons that like phone, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast. If you can't get a hold of me off that website, I don't know what to tell you. I will say briefly, we have to be done right at 7, or can we go 2 minutes over?
We can go 2 minutes over.
Okay, perfect.
Decision.
Okay, perfect. What I'd like to do is I'd like to end it with something I've been done. One of the questions y'all asked me before the show was something that's really made a difference in your life, or some form or flavor of that question. I read this book several years ago, and you got the opportunity to basically practice radical self-forgiveness. And I would like to end at least my part of this by telling you something that I say to myself every single day, and I have since January 1st of 2023.
Nice.
I have not missed a day. This is who I am in the world. So, Miss Mary, can you ask me say, David, who are you?
David, who are you?
I'm an imperfect soldier for Christ. I am salt and light. I am forgiven. I'm a friend of the King of the universe. I'm a created being in God's image. I'm a husband first, a father second, and a coach third. I'm a great husband and father. I am protecting of my family. I am loyal. I am a friend. I am a giver. I am happy. I am prosperous. I am peace. I am gratitude. I am grace for others and for myself. I'm only here for a little while, then the real journey begins. I am what's possible. I am that I create. I am that I make a difference. I am ease, abundance, and contribution. I am strong. I am attractive. I am active. I'm the best coach on the planet, TBC OTP. I ask great questions. I have high expectations for others and for myself. I'm a man of integrity. I'm a man of action. I'm a man of stillness. I am patient. I'm aware of my limited capabilities, but am walking and talking daily with the limitless one who owns everything. I am kind. I am funny. I am enough. I am not afraid even of death. I'm aware that I can't do it all by myself. Divine appointments happen to me daily and I don't miss them. I am present wherever I am. Money comes from serving others. I am that money comes to me easily and frequently. I am a client magnet. I am that no one is worthy of my judgment and everyone is worthy of my love. I am blessed and highly favored. I am a serious person. I am committed. I am fighting from victory, not for victory. The most important people in my life are Jennifer Suzanne Creel and Max Wayne Creel. Nothing I can do, say, think, or imagine can separate me from the love of Jesus Christ. I am His. Nothing seen or unseen can take that away from me. I am my word. I am love and loved. The best is yet to come. It's not about me. My name is David, and I'm beloved.
Wow.
I love it.
That is
Um,
phenomenal.
the I am affirmations is so powerful.
Yeah.
And the way you carried that was breathtaking.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to do that, and thank you for listening.
Hmm. And also, we'd like to make a couple of mentions. First of all, just to let everybody know, usually the last week of the month, we have a free Q&A, complimentary. Because of Christmas and New Year's, um, we are going to be doing it next Wednesday, same time as normal, 1:30 Central, or I'm sorry, 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, and it'll be right on Zoom. The link is in the description below, and we're going to have that next week because we will not be doing the Mastermind the rest of the month until come the new year. So make sure you're a part of that because, hey, after all, it's not going to cost you a dime, not even a penny. So make sure you're there because you're going to benefit from it. Um, we love to encourage you and get you to that next level. So make sure you're tuned in. We are starting to launch a community right here in YouTube land, and it's right here on this channel. Matter of fact, when you're on Absolute Awakening, there's a button that says Community. It's going to start to really be fulfilled come the beginning of the year. We're just starting to build it now, so make sure you stay tuned for it. And all the links are in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Mary, did you have any final words?
Well, y'all, my tagline is just do the dang thing. So my thing is just do the dang thing for yourself. Find your courage. Take this assessment, this wheel of life, and find your strengths and make some changes. Look at your progress. And David, thank you